Oh, hey, declare the glory here, whatever. Just kind of like impromptu, trying to hurry up, get this done in between other things. um, yeah, I smoke, and I guess I shouldn't be. It's my room. I don't normally smoke in my room. I try to smoke in my bathroom or whatever because I got my grandkids here or whatever. Now, when you're part of a family, it doesn't really matter. Whatever one person does affects everyone else. Um, and I named this the Garden of Eden. And actually, I do have a song that I wrote. Let me see if I can find it here. I didn't actually put music to it or anything yet. You don't have time to do all the fun things in life. Life is about having a balance between, work and play and school and learning. And I say school, and I've spent years frustrated dealing with the educational system, and we take I just got a letter today from a doctor's office. And the doctor, when I talked to him last time, I kind of got frustrated because a lot of times he didn't listen. And, and that's the thing is, I think a lot of times the doctors know that the parents are there to get a note for school, and the insurance companies are paying out the butt because kids don't want to go to school. And a lot of kids don't want to go to school because, well, we'll get to that. In the Garden of Eden, you've got, you got the trees, you got all the animals, and Adam's there, and he's probably working along. This is my take on it. We'll just call it that. I'm not gonna. I can go out of the Bible, but everybody kind of, we're gonna put things in perspective from my point of view, and everybody else has got their own point of view about it here. I'd like to think that God is in our minds. Jesus is in our heart when we accept Christ as our Savior. And we say that Jesus is the Word of God. It's this book right here. And this book here is an awesome book, man. It's like you can look at it in so many different ways. There's so many different levels on it. And the more you educate yourself, not only on this book, but on life, about the things that are in life. And that's the thing is, what do we educate? We educate our minds, and we put knowledge in our minds. Um, when we talk about love, God is a God of love. You know, how do we get to love? You know what I mean? Is a lot of times love is a work. It's a lot of work. Um, because the thing of it is that we all have free will. You know, we have the will to do what we want. And therefore you take and you look at Satan, and that's the one part of the Bible that he's mentioned all through there. And he's mentioned all through there when it comes to the fall. That and you look at how Satan operates. He operates in a lie, in deceit, dishonest, dishonesty, this murder, and you can physically kill somebody's spirit and hold them back from doing the things that they love to do in life. If you stifle somebody's creativity and you put them into this box and you say, "Yeah, I don't care. This is how it is. It's black and white. There is no other way." When we look at computers and all that, it's all choices. It's binary. It's left. It's right. Um, and it's to the next choice. Life is about, and they talk about the heart being deceitful. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it is because the people that we really love and we care about and everything, they do things that hurt us. And with that hurt comes, fear, it comes pain, it comes all these things that are on the negative side of that tree, the tree of life. And when you look at a family, Adam and Eve, they're going along, and we look at where um, sin comes into the garden. It was Adam and Eve. They're going through the garden, they're doing their own thing, and then here comes the serpent and comes in. I'll let you surmise what that, forbidden fruit was. Because once they tasted that forbidden fruit, God forbid that they should eat the fit, then we see the next thing that they're talking about. Let's go back to the beginning. We'll go way, way back to the beginning. God sent him in the garden to till the garden, the ground. Once he was taken, he drove. So he drove out the man, and he placed. Okay, wait. This is after they ate from that tree or whatever. Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was keeper of the sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Now, man, I don't know. That says so much to me. When you put them together, you got Cain, cannibal, And we see so many times in life that some people can just chew up people and spit them out like they're nothing. You know what I mean? And they don't have any regard for their fellow man, and I would call them D-mans, not man, you know, because we can either work together and come together in this spirit of peace and truth and love and kindness and that, or we can use other people and be selfish. And, when you look at the structure of a family, you got mother, father, and then they 4 children. And then Cain kills Abel, the one that was able to serve the Lord, and the Lord, when we put God in our temple, and where is our temple? It's located in our brains. So many people don't even look at the Bible, so they'll just say, religion's nonsense. It's ridiculous. I don't, if your God was so great, then why would he let this happen? Well, if you want to make Satan your God, what's Satan do? He lies, cheats, steals, and guess what? All throughout the Bible, Satan's alone, other than being with a bunch of other lonely people, that are, or demons, selfish people. I mean, it's crazy. But when you look at the family structure and you can look at nature, nurture, natural, what's natural? God intended a man and a woman to come together and to have a family. For this reason, that man will leave his family and go off, and that's how it works, And right, wrong, or indifferent or whatever, um, people make choices in life, and they end up being with somebody, and they choose, and then once they planted their seed, that seed should be nurtured, and you know guys are different than girls. you know um, I love my kids and that, but a lot of times I tend to be more pointed, matter of fact, right to the point. um, I have a hard time with the emotional side of it, especially, when I went through all that I did, just trying to get my grandson to go to school. And I love my grandchildren. I love education. I love knowledge. Um, I love music. I love so many things. There's so many things in life that I love, but I love my wife, and I love my kids, and I love my grandkids. Um, I love my neighbors' pets that come over that I feed, and I don't have the money to feed them, but I do, because I don't want to see any animals just die off because somebody can't take care of them. You know, that's it. But anyway, I open up my Bible. I open it up, and this is what I do when I'm looking for some inspiration about things. And it talks about the mighty one of Jacob. And when you look at Israel and the family that they had, um, Jacob, holy cow, man, he went through some trials and tribulations. He he did a lot. He um, boy, I tell you, I don't read my Bible enough, but everything in the Bible was done for the family unit. Even Jesus himself comes from the line of the seed of David. And no matter whether you look at it from coming from Mary, or whether even if you wanted to look at it as coming from Joseph or whatever, Jesus was like a stepchild. He was born from Mary. We see that a lot with single mothers and that in the world today. That the fathers don't really have a whole lot to do with them. They plant the seed, but they tend to not stay around for all the hard things in life. All the temperatures and fevers and just anything. I think about my sons, I should say. Um, that even though my thoughts are out there with them and that, and my heart may be out there with them, once a child gets to be a certain age, there's nothing we can do. And there's really nothing we can do even when they're younger. We can try to talk to them, we can try to educate them. But, in the end, it all comes down to free will because we have the will to do what's right and we have the will to do what's wrong. But a lot of times, how we're educated and what we learn in life directs um, our choices. If you believe that the police are all bad or whatever, you may run from them. If you believe they're all good, you may run to them. If you um, don't know and you want to have an open mind, you can kind of just wait and see what happens. And it may not be bad, it may not be great, um, but it is what it is. And we live life in the moment, from choice to choice, decision to decision, and and in love there is no fear, there is no anger, there is no. But I would say that's kind of not necessarily true because love takes a lot of work sometimes. And it's hard because we're not the only person that's involved. When you look at a family, just a immediate family, mother, father, children, and you start throwing other people into it, everybody's always got a what's best for you and what's good for you and what's right for you. Um, who decides that? You know, we used to be at a certain point in the United States where you know families come over because they were escaping religious persecution. They wanted to be free to practice their Christian faith. But a lot of times now, we've had so many people that want to be liberated from all of these rules and that they decided that I mean, I guess it's like kind of like Batman. You take matters into your own hands, which boy, I wish I could a lot of times. You know, And it's like my mom had told me one time I had a kid that was picking on me, pushing me in the hallway or whatever. And she said, just wait for him to come by. And when he goes to push you, just step out of the way and kind of accidentally, on purpose, put him into the locker. And, that's called that plausible deniability we see so many times is that did she, I am I, somewhere in the middle of when we think about ourselves at our best and we think about ourselves at our worst, we're kind of right in the middle of that. When we think about what we know and what we feel, sometimes we're right in the middle of that too. Um, we don't have to be extreme. We don't have to think crazy thoughts. I use sarcasm to alleviate a lot of my stress sometimes because sometimes people are so ridiculous that it's just hard to deal with. It's like somebody that says, "Oh, just kill me." They don't really mean that. People get angry in the spur of the moment. But I mean, could you imagine if we locked up and medicated every person that ever said, "I'm just tired of life and I just want it to be done"? Wow, we would definitely be having some we'd be having some problems. If that was the case, we'd have everybody would be, pretty much locked up and put in cages, and families would cease to exist. Because when you go back to the Garden of Eden, what we had is we had uh, nature. It was natural. And here, let me get a different book. And it's easy enough that a third grader, this is a third grade book here, easy enough that a third grader could understand. You got the little girl sitting there in the garden, making sure she plants, gets air, light, water, and soil. Air, light, water, soil. Well, the one thing that they're not talking about is the seed of man. When the Bible, that's what it talks about. But no matter what type of a seed you're going to plant, it comes from somewhere. Whether you go to the store, you go to Walmart, you go to Tops, you go to any store, or you can save your seeds even, because that's what God gives us. And a lot of times with a lot of this genetic things that they're doing and that we see going on now, is that seed's only good for 3 or 4 generations, and then it loses that reproduction process sometimes, or it gets mutated to to where it's not good. It's where I think we see a lot of cancers and that going on because of a lot of the genetically engineered things. And when you look at our DNA, anything that's got life in it has got DNA in it. And that's the thing is you've got, when you look at a DNA, it looks like kind of like an 8 or whatever, and you got an X and a Y chromosome, a male and a female chromosome. And that DNA, it's pretty interesting, because when you think about how it works, all these coils and that. I'm not going to get into all that right now, because there's a lot. You have to understand a lot of the science and the technology. And there is really no technology in what God created. You know, that's pretty simple. You have a man and a woman. If you're in a garden, you have a tree. You'll have bees that'll pollinate and take um, the pollen and move it from one plant to another to sex the different types of things. I know my uncle Dave, he was pretty good at growing some, let's just say plants or whatever. But it's the one thing is a lot of times you wouldn't want to get the male plants would have the seed on them. It wasn't the female plants that carried the seed; it was the male plants, and they would need to be pollinated, in order for them to be male, because without it, they were all females. Without the seeds, they were females. But the one thing in a family that we have is we have a male and we have a female, and the two of them come together, and they just start with that right there, male and female, a chromosome, and then life is happening. Look at this, kind of like, let's turn it like this here. Let's turn it just like a timeline, a sine wave, And in life, we have learning experiences. We have peaks and valleys, because, without life, without this A to X, it's flatlined. If there's no life in it, if we don't, we're moving forward. That's time. Time. We're moving forward. We started out at the beginning, the alpha, omega, the end, and this is the time in somebody's life. And here's, let's just say that this is a male, and until you have children, and you spread that seed. But now if it doesn't really work with a male and a male, and it doesn't really work with a female and a male, they can do inseminations and things like that, and it's artificial. And that's the thing is, life for us as individuals is real. And as time goes on, we can either learn, and this is the whole thing is that, let's say that we look at this electronically here, and we say when we come to Christ, we accept Him in our heart. That means that we accept the Bible as His Word. And then what we do is we want to try to make our life more positive. We want to try to get rid of the negatives. Okay? Because this is positive, this is negative. And how do we do that? The above, we try to put more positive things into our brain. We try to create new pathways that are positive. We try to create more things, happy things in life, because the happiness, that's our heart. Our heart is the thing that we want to have, the love and the joy and that. And, they can say, the way to a man's heart is through a good woman. Well, that's certainly true, because, if you have a good woman, then she does what it takes. If you have a good man, he does what it takes to try to make a family successful, to make a family survive. And what kills a family, or what can kill a family, is when you have bad spirits. That's why a lot of times I look at a lot of times when I drank when I was younger, it would cause me to be depressed because it's a depressant. Um, and another way you could have bad spirits is just mean spirited people. People that have mean spirits or bad spirits. Their thoughts are towards nothing but negative, nasty things. And sometimes in life there's people that have these kind of thoughts, these negative thoughts, because of their childhood, maybe because of their parents, maybe because of their education and what they learned at school. I don't think any kid wants to go to school where they feel they're getting picked on by their classmates or things, and then to do it day after day after day. And when kids, a lot of children, when they fight against that, or they say, "Yeah, I don't want to go," it doesn't matter. That's when the schools and that will get the law involved and pretty much come in and say, "Well, we don't care." I mean, my grandson was, and I'll tell you what, I was happy for CYS. Um, when I had started like the whole process or whatever, I took him to the doctor or whatever, and I was telling my doctor about some of the things that was going on around in my house or whatever, and they said, "Well, you need to report it," and I did, and I even had one of the nurses come in, and put it on speakerphone so she could kind of hear like what was going on. But my grandkids were getting terrorized by a little girl downstairs, and so I made the report to CYS or whatever. And I'll tell you what, I'm so glad that they've showed up to my house a couple times, because the one time they come to my house or whatever, the school had come to my house to get my grandkids and pretty much take them to school. And I'm thinking like, holy cow, this is crazy. This is like 2 days after the police would have been at my house already. And they had pretty much took me out of the house in handcuffs, uh, to go to the hospital to get a mental evaluation. And it's like, okay, well, this is, and I guess maybe I was crazy for letting them do it. But then again, it's like I didn't want to see my grandkids going through any more than what they had to. You know, it was, and you talk about a big chain of events or whatever. I hurt my shoulder way back when. I had surgery done on it. Um, and I'm on the Suboxone that I take for pain. It helps me with pain, but it helped me get over my addictions to the opiates and that. And I've been trying to get off from it. Do more natural things to get off of the narcotics, because the opiates, they can't have a benefit, but they have a big uh, things that are not a benefit to it. When you get addicted to anything, it doesn't matter if it's cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, anything that you are addicted to. Um, and I see so much in the words is, add, a, you know, I'm not even going to say it because, but anyway, is generally when we don't have those things, then we don't act very nice. Our bodies tend to crave these things, and when we don't have them, it makes us. And I've always been one of like no matter what, whether it's cigarettes, whatever, I might be grumpy and crabby or whatever, but um, I'll do what I need to do in order to for my family to survive, and if I had to go without something for one thing, then my kids may have uh, not liked what they had to eat at times, but they never went without. You know, um, a lot of times I've had other circumstances where people get involved or whatever, and I mean, we ended up. It's a lot. I mean, there's a lot I could tell you about life, but it really doesn't matter because I am where I am right now. Uh, and the problem is that we want to continually move forward in a positive thing, and sometimes when you look at your children can be stressful and they can be hard, and it doesn't matter what type of addiction you're on, what type of drugs you take or whatever. Life is always coming at you because as long as you have life, um, you got to try to make the best of it. You want to try to stay positive and be on it. And it's hard to do when you don't have money, when you don't have the things that you need. But God provides for us. He provides for us, and like I said, it's easy enough for a third grade book here. Air, light, water, and the soil. One thing that I think any family wants to have is a set of roots. And when we talk about communities and that, what are we rooted in? Are we rooted in a good community that's a caring community that's trying to build each other up? Or are we rooted in a community that does nothing but tries to tear other people down, that's promoting all these negative things? And I think, I always try to look at other people and look at the good side, even though sometimes I get very upset with other people, by what they allow to go on and what they allow to happen. And I think all in all, I think people are generally good, and I may be wrong, but I think everybody wants to be loved. I think everybody wants to feel loved, and a lot of times, it's even our actions tend to push other people away from us. Um, and I mean, I'm sitting here right now, and I miss my extended family and that. Uh, but right now, I'm just trying to deal with my immediate family. I'm just trying to deal with my wife's got health problems that she's facing, and she's at work, And when she leaves, I mean, that's like taking a piece of my heart with me, And there's that connection that goes there. And she's way better at the nurture stuff. I mean, you don't read in the Bible about, the mighty one of Jacob or whatever, and it's like he's sending out Rachel out into the wilderness to go do his hunting for him while he's sitting there and that hurts me, because I like to be getting a job, but I'm dealing with things like education. I'm dealing with things like feeding kids, and these are things that I know how to do, but I don't do it with the nurture that I guess a woman would do because I'm not a woman. I doesn't mean I can't play the part. I can certainly put a wig on and dress up and do whatever, but it's not something that I would be good at. Uh, but I do love my family and I love my kids and that, and I do respect women for the things that they go through and the pains in life that they go through. And I think a lot of times I think men take that for granted. Um, a lot of the old thinking would be, a woman's place is pretty much at home in the kitchen or whatever, or depending on where your mind is, it might be other places too. But that's you know, when the Bible talks about love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, you think about you put Jesus here in your heart, and that's the sacrifices you make. Your mind is what you think about, where you focus it. I know so many people that they look at these women on TV and or even just out in public, and their mind's always going there. Unfortunately, that's something that I think God placed in men is this desire to want to spread their seed everywhere. But it's all fine and dandy. But if you don't tend your garden, I guess you're not going to end up with very healthy uh, fruit. Because they say the fruit doesn't fall very far from the tree, and unfortunately, that's probably true. I got my daughter. I love her very much. She's right now. She's working, but she's working pretty much just to buy my grandkids the things that they love. You know, um, my son, he stepson, I guess you should say, he's working and taking care of his wife and his daughter and that. And just always go go go, and I'm very proud of him. He's doing an awesome job, and I really I want to see the best for him and his wife. Even though they're not technically married, in my eyes, they've been married a long time ago, long before they had their second child. When they lost their first child, and that'd be I don't even know how I can deal with that. And I'm a man, but for a woman to lose a child, whether it's through adoption, whether it's through abortion, whether it's through um, kidnapping, whether it's through um, just a miscarriage. And I mean, uh, my mind just, I can't fathom it, you know, and it's something that time, they say time heals all wounds. Well, a lot of times, these things, and these are just lost lives that are lost. And, but, they're not because they go back to God and they are with God. So there's a bright side to every negative side because this life is hard, you know, and so many times that people do die that we love and that, and that's the thing is, do we get to know them before they die, before they pass away, before life is ended, and they go back because God is the lucky one, because He gets so many people that die early. They die because somebody else decides it's their decision to take or whatever. But God is the one that gets the best of the best. A lot of times the best of the best are the ones that in life people thought they were losers. Maybe in school they were no good. You know, I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I do know the nurture part I got to work on. I try to. I know that you can't learn, only time and spending time and learning about people and that. A lot of times when all we do is work, and I spent when my kids were little, I spent so much of my time working and that I would try to even take them to work with me. So, but kids don't really want to go to work and do work, you know. But it is what it is. Um, but where do we get our power from? What pushes us on to do what we need to do? It's providing love. Love is the thing. And that's the thing is, as above and so below. You know, the above is the things we put in our head and what we think we learn, and our heart is our emotions.
Remember what it said in the car?
Which thing? It's not a bad word, is it?
No.
Okay.
Tell them about this.
Oh, and God does love us all. God knows us all before we're even brought into this world. God's already knows everything about us. You know, and He loved us so much, He sent His Son into the world to die for us, so that if we believed in Him, that we could actually have life and have it more abundantly. You know, and that's the thing is you got free will to believe whatever you want. So if you want to take and say, "Oh, the Bible's nothing but a fairy tale, a fantasy book made up," and if you don't want to, if you want to say, "Hey, maybe there's something," because Satan's the liar, the deceiver. He sets all these traps and stumbling blocks and all these things to get us to make the wrong choice, and that's it. You know. But other than that, just say, Heavenly Father. I'm gonna say my prayer and get out. Heavenly Father, I just pray that if people don't know Jesus, they come to know Jesus and accept their Savior, and and that's it. Pretty much accept Him and ask for forgiveness. And you forgive others and you forgive yourself, and it's a process. But you put your faith in Jesus' name, amen.